I was a card-carrying member of mommy needs wine culture that believed that alcohol is what made me better at everything. But what I didn't realize was that alcohol was actually the thing that was keeping me stuck. And it was actually the thing that was making hard days harder. It was making anything that was a little bit challenging feel so much more challenging. Welcome to the Shannon McCabe Show, where we break free from our drink-obsessed culture, challenge the myths around alcohol, and redefine sobriety as the empowering choice it truly is. I'm Shannon McCabe, sober coach, holistic nutritionist, and your guide to a life that feels better without booze. Whether you're newly sober, sober curious, or years into this journey, this podcast is here to give you the truth about alcohol, the tools to build lasting confidence, and the hope that a vibrant, fulfilling life is waiting for you on the other side. So grab your coffee or sparkling water and let's dive in. If you've tried moderation more times than you can count, if you've ever wondered why you can't stop at just one, or why alcohol makes you feel worse over time, then today's conversation is for you. We've all said it before. I'll just have one glass, or I'll just have a couple. But have you ever noticed how that one or two so often turns into three or four, or even more? Or how even if you do manage to stop at one, you're still thinking about drinking and wishing you could have more? Or already planning the next time you can just have one or two? Maybe you notice that you get kind of crabby and irritable when you try to limit yourself to that one or two. So it's a good thing that you aren't drinking more in the moment, but you don't exactly feel free or at ease or necessarily even in control, right? Because drinking is still taking up your time and energy even when you're not doing it. When this happens, guys, when your intentions to only have one or two go right out the window and you have 5 or 6 or more instead, or you do manage to limit yourself to just one, but it takes an insane amount of effort and leaves you crabby and obsessing, that's not a lack of willpower, you guys. It's brain chemistry. Alcohol is designed to hijack your brain, mess with your hormones, and keep you stuck in this cycle of cravings and exhaustion. Today, I'm breaking it all down so you can finally understand why moderation feels impossible and what to do instead. So if you've struggled with cravings and self-blame and can't figure out why, settle in for an enlightening conversation. I want to start by looking at how alcohol rewires your brain to want more. This starts with understanding that alcohol spikes dopamine, which is the feel-good chemical in our brain. But it's fake dopamine, which is why this big spike leads to an eventual crash and then cravings for more alcohol. Dopamine is our brain's reward chemical. It makes us feel good, motivated, and it reinforces repeat behaviors. It makes us want to do the things that gave us the hit of dopamine. So when we drink alcohol, it floods our brain with this big surge of dopamine, which is why that first sip or that first drink does feel like so relaxing and so rewarding. But here's the catch. Alcohol doesn't actually create real happiness or fulfillment. It just triggers an artificial dopamine spike. And what goes up must come down. So after that initial high or buzz, your dopamine levels crash, which is why after a drink or two, we often feel the pull to keep going, right? Like we don't just want that second glass, we need it. Because it's not just for fun at that point, it's because our brain is already looking for the next hit of that dopamine. So over time, drinking lowers our brain's natural dopamine production, which means we feel worse even when we're not drinking, which just makes us want to drink in order to feel normal. Does that sound familiar? You guys, our brain is smart. It's always trying to keep things balanced. So when alcohol artificially spikes dopamine over and over and over again, our brain responds by producing less of it naturally. So over time, what this means is that we start feeling a lower energy level most of the time. We start feeling unmotivated or even anxious and depressed when we're not drinking. So that's why after a while, drinking doesn't necessarily even feel fun anymore. It's just relief from feeling like crap because we're not drinking. This is where people like me, probably like you, get stuck in this cycle. We drink to feel better, only to feel worse the next day, which then makes us crave another drink to feel normal again. And this happens a lot of time without us necessarily even realizing that alcohol is to blame, either like fully or partly. So this cycle that leaves us feeling low energy, unmotivated, anxious or depressed is often when us women start to blame our kids or our jobs or our husbands or the world around us, usually anything and everything except for alcohol. And if you've done that or are even currently doing it, you guys, it's okay. It happens to the best of us. We usually don't even realize it. Society, and especially the marketing departments of every big alcohol company, have reinforced this narrative that alcohol is the solution to our problems, rather than something that's actually contributing to them. It's the whole premise of mommy wine culture, right? We see and hear things like the kids whine, so I whine, or everything tells us that alcohol is an innocent reward at the end of a long day. It's something we deserve after we do everything for everybody. Except that the whole time we're turning to alcohol, it's actually enhancing any other problem or stressor we have going on in our life. But we keep going back because until recently, until the last few years, no one is telling us the truth, which is that alcohol tricks our brain and our body, and it makes us feel worse in the long run. So now, when we go back to talking about the brain, this is why moderation feels impossible. Alcohol has literally trained our brain to crave more of it. This is why that just one drink so often turns into more. Not because we lack willpower, but because alcohol has changed the way our brain functions. Our brain learns to associate drinking with that quick relief. So even if you've told yourself and sworn to yourself, I'm only having one tonight, your brain remembers that dopamine spike and it is nudging you to have that next drink. And the more you drink, the more often or the larger amounts, the stronger this wiring becomes. So this is why moderation is so exhausting. It's not about discipline and it's not about willpower. It's about fighting against a brain that's been rewired to want more alcohol. Every time you give it just a little bit, it wants a lot. And it took me years to learn this and to understand this, you guys. And I'm guessing you can probably relate to that. So, okay, another important piece of how alcohol does this to us is understanding how it disrupts our hormones and eventually our mood, okay? So you've heard of cortisol, the stress hormone. Here's the thing to know. Yes, alcohol temporarily lowers stress, but over time, drinking leads to higher stress. And we feel that the next day, right? When the anxiety kicks in, when we're more irritable, when we're more tired. A lot of people reach for a drink because they feel stressed. And I get it because I did it for years. It's that classic, like, I need a glass of wine to unwind at the end of a hard day. And at first, alcohol does lower our cortisol. It does make us feel more relaxed temporarily. But here's the problem. The effects are really short-lived. So once that alcohol wears off, our cortisol levels rebound and they usually go even higher than they were before we had that drink. So that's why the next day we feel anxious or really on edge or irritable, snappy, any of these things. So even if you don't have a full-blown hangover, and maybe even if you're new to the term anxiety, this is what's happening. That surge of stress makes you feel off and it makes you feel uneasy and it makes you feel irritable and snappy and impatient. And then eventually it makes us more likely to reach for another drink again to calm us down. There's more though, you guys. When we're talking about hormones, what about estrogen and progesterone, okay? So alcohol throws off the balance of these two. This can show up in our life in a way that it can be making PMS worse. It makes our anxiety worse. It makes the symptoms of perimenopause way worse. For women, alcohol's impact on hormones is way more pronounced than it is for men. And the real kicker is that this only gets worse as we get older, you guys, which yes, sucks and might seem unfair, but it's just the way that it is, okay? So if you're like me and a woman who's in perimenopause, we're already dealing with changes in our liver function, okay? Our liver's ability to detoxify slows down naturally as we age. We're already dealing with a change in our gut bacteria, which affects our digestion, which affects our how bloated we are and how we feel. We're dealing with a natural decrease in digestive enzymes, which again affect our digestion and how we feel. We're also dealing with a decrease in muscle mass. All of these things affect how alcohol impacts our hormones, which means that it is harder for us to process alcohol as we get older. And this is something that a lot more women are becoming aware of and are talking about, right? We maybe could easily have 2 or 3 glasses of wine and feel fine the next day. And once you hit your late 30s, early 40s, you feel wrecked. Even if it's not a full-blown hangover, it just takes a long time to come back from this, okay? It's not all in your head. There are very real reasons for this. Alcohol increases our estrogen levels, which might not sound like a super bad thing until you realize that this estrogen dominance is what is linked to worse PMS, mood swings, migraines, and even an actual increased risk of breast cancer, you guys. At the same time, alcohol lowers our progesterone, which is the calming, mood stabilizing hormone that helps us sleep and helps us feel like emotionally balanced. So this imbalance is why a lot of women feel extra emotional or anxious or stressed after drinking. And this is why perimenopause and menopause symptoms can feel so much worse when we drink alcohol. So now another component of it, you guys, alcohol and blood sugar. How does this all come together? Alcohol spikes our blood sugar. And like we said before, what comes up must come down. So then we're dealing with a massive crash in our blood sugar, which leads to more hunger, which leads to cravings for alcohol and also for sugar and other junk foods. It makes us more irritable. You've probably noticed this, right? How often do you drink and then deal with crazy cravings for junk food or for sweets in addition to another drink, right? How many of us have dealt with the aftermath of our drinking by driving through McDonald's for a cheeseburger and fries and a soda, just hoping it will make us feel better, right? Alcohol disrupts our blood sugar balance. So after that initial spike, which yes, gives us a quick boost of energy or relaxation in the moment, but then that blood sugar crashes and it leaves us feeling shaky and tired and moody and a lot less capable to stick to healthy habits that we have in place, right? So this roller coaster is what triggers really intense cravings, not just for alcohol, but like I said, for sugar, processed foods, anything else that can give us like a quick dopamine hit so that our brain can get back to the balance that it's seeking. So over time, this roller coaster and these fluctuations are what make it so hard to regulate our emotions and our energy and even our weight eventually. So you guys, here's where all of this starts to connect. And this is what explains why stopping drinking feels so hard, but also why healing is possible. And it's not actually as far out of reach as you might think that it is. So if you feel like you need alcohol to feel good, it's not because you're weak. It's because of what it's done to your body and your brain. A lot of people beat themselves up over the fact that they struggle to cut back or quit drinking. I did this for years. We think things like, why can't I just stop? Why do I keep going back to it even when I don't necessarily like all the ways that it makes me feel? You guys, this seriously was my inner dialogue for like 2 to 3 years before I finally figured all of this out. Every day I spent my time in this like running monologue of, I need to quit. I need to slow down. Why can't I? I want to, but I can't figure it out. So if that's where you are right now, just please know that you're not alone and you're not broken. Because what I want you to know is that this has nothing to do with willpower or with being weak. It's just science. Alcohol has literally rewired your brain and your brain's reward center. So it depletes your natural feel-good dopamine and other chemicals. And it's thrown your hormones all out of balance. So when you try to stop, at first, your brain and body feel really off. It feels like something is missing. And that feeling doesn't mean that you're failing at this. It just means that your body is adjusting. And it means that there is healing that needs to be done. But this early part feels really, really intense. And this is what sends most of us back to drinking because we don't understand this process of what's going on in our brain and our body. And so we have no idea what to do with it. We don't know how to soothe ourselves. We don't know how to support our brain or our body through this process, which is why getting support and working with people that understand this and can walk you through it and can teach you the things that make it easier can make all the difference in the world, you guys. Because the really good news is that your brain and body can recover. That's what's so amazing is that like this crappy cycle that alcohol keeps us stuck in does not have to be permanent. Our brain is so incredibly adaptable and it can heal remarkably when it is given the right environment. So the moment that you stop drinking, your brain and body start to work to reset themselves. Your dopamine levels do begin to stabilize. Your brain can relearn how to make its own dopamine. Your hormones rebalance. Your energy and your mood start to improve on their own. And the longer we go without alcohol, the more we can see, the more we realize, the more we experience that we don't actually need it to relax. We don't need it to have fun. And we don't even need it to feel like ourselves. We figure out who we actually are without alcohol around. But you just need to be able to give your body the time it needs to experience this. And there is so much that you can do to support yourself through this process once you have a better understanding of what's going on. Understanding what's happening and getting the right tools, figuring out what works for you to soothe your mind, soothe your body, support yourself physically and emotionally during this whole early healing phase is what usually makes or breaks the whole experience for us, you guys. I know it did for me. I tried to quit drinking or take breaks for years, literally for over 3 years before I finally said, you know what? I think I need to let like happy, sober people show me how to do this. I need to let people that have actually figured this out successfully teach me what they know so I'm not just winging it on my own. So I'm not just relying on willpower because doing it that way, relying on willpower and doing this completely alone feels like torture, you guys, because you don't know what you don't know. But getting support and getting guidance is literally like one light bulb moment right after another. You just see the gains compound, big and small, really, really quickly. I am living proof that those cravings go away, that we can actually figure out how to not even want to moderate, to not even wish that we could. Because we see quickly, by quickly, I mean really within just a few weeks and a month, you guys, we can see how much better we feel physically, mentally, emotionally, all of it without any alcohol at all. I mean, I'm living proof of this. I know this from experience. I used to believe that alcohol was the thing getting me through life. I 100% believed that it was the thing that helped me be a better mom, helped me be a better special needs mom, helped me be a homeschool mom, helped me work from home and take care of my kids and take care of my husband. It helped me connect with my friends. It helped me relax. I was a card-carrying member of mommy needs wine culture that believed that alcohol is what made me better at everything. But what I didn't realize was that alcohol was actually the thing that was keeping me stuck. And it was actually the thing that was making hard days harder. It was making anything that was a little bit challenging feel so much more challenging. And the moment I stepped away from this cycle, the moment I sought support and got some distance from alcohol, my body and mind started changing in ways that I had been hoping for years, but could never manage because on my own, I could never make it more than a few days without a drink. But that first time that I finally got support and could make it a few weeks, and was learning new ways to actually really relax, not just numb the stress or escape the stress, but actually relax, actually take care of my mind and my body. Everything started to change. And it wasn't that long into the process, you guys, again, a month, 2 maybe, that I really could say that I did not miss drinking. The baggage that it brought to my life just wasn't worth it anymore. I saw that I was actually more relaxed without it. I could still have just as much fun without it. And so many other things, like working out, got easier and better. My weight got easier and better. The emotional roller coaster disappeared. Because when your brain and body aren't wired to crave alcohol anymore, you realize that you don't really need it. And you start to not even want it. Because you get to see that life is actually better without it. So if you've been struggling to just have one or wondering why quitting feels so hard, I want you to know this, you guys. It's not just about willpower. It's about rewiring your brain and giving your body what it truly needs to thrive so that we can step out of the survival mode that alcohol keeps us in and step into actually thriving, even while we still do everything else we need to do. You guys, this is exactly what I teach inside the alcohol-free blueprint. The blueprint is where I've laid out the exact process that I used to quit drinking, how I healed my mind and body in those first few months, how I created a life that feels better than it ever felt when I was drinking, and everything that I continue to do to be sober and to actually be wildly happy about being sober. So if this episode resonated with you guys, I invite you to check out the show notes and take the next step. That's it for today's episode. If this conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if you're loving the show, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a quick review. It helps others find this message and start their own journey to freedom. Until next time, keep choosing yourself, keep believing in what's possible, and remember, you are so much stronger than you think.